Graphing square roots, ReQuiz review, questions number 1 and 2. When you're graphing a square root function, you need to be able to graph the parent function first. And over here on the left, we have the parent function, which is y equals the square root of x. And we have the 4 points that we associate with it, 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2, and 9, 3. So you're going to start out plotting those 4 points. Here's 0, 0. We have 1, 1. And 4, 2, and then 9, 3. So this is our parent function. It starts at 0, 0, and then it goes to the right. Now what we're going to graph is y equals square root of x, which is your parent function, plus a 2. That plus 2 on the end, if you look at this formula up here, y equals a times the square root of x minus h plus k, is a k value. It's being added on outside of the radical. So that will move the graph either up 2 units or down 2 units. If k is a positive number, it's going to go up 2. So we take each of these points and move them up 2. And then we will connect our dots. And that gives you the graph. And then they're going to ask you for the domain and the range. Now this point where the graph starts right here, this is called the vertex. You can get your domain and range values from the vertex. So for this first one, the vertex is the point 0, 2. So your domain, it starts out with the x value. So if you just went to the very left side of the graph, you'd be at this point 0, 2. And if you go down to the x-axis, that x value is 0. And we're going to put a bracket around it. And if you go to the right, there's an arrow, it keeps going to the right. That would take you to infinity. The range is the bottom and the top of the graph. So if you went to the very bottom of the graph, you'd be at the vertex again, which you want to know, what is that y value at the bottom? And that's the value of 2. So at the bottom of the graph, it's 2. And if you go to the right or keep moving up to the top of the graph, there's an arrow, it keeps going up. So that would take it to infinity. But your vertex, where it starts, that point gives you your starting domain and your starting range value. All right, question number 2. We're going to start out with the parent function. So I want to plot 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2, and 9, 3. And this time you have a number underneath the radical. So if you go up to the top here, underneath the radical is your h. So h will move the graph either left or right, but h is a liar. So when I go underneath and I see a +1, I would originally think it would move it to the right, but it's not going to go right, it's going to go left. So this will move left 1 unit. So I'm going to take each of these points on my parent and move them left 1. Connect the dots, and then you have your graph. And again, I want to figure out the domain and range, and I'm going to start with the vertex. So the vertex right here, this point would be -1 on the x and 0 on the y. So the x is domain and the range is the y value. So I'm going to have -1 and 0. And then if I, for the range, the domain, it's left and right. So the left is at -1 on the x. If you go to the right, it keeps going to the right. So that would take you to infinity on the x-axis. For the range, it's the bottom of the graph, which at the very bottom you're at the vertex, which is at a y of 0. And if you keep going up to the top, it keeps going up. And if you go up on the y-axis, that will take you to infinity. So it would be 0 to infinity. And we put a bracket around -1 and 0 because we are equal. The graph is actually there. We can see it. It exists.